you got this
Yeah.
Sean Stebbins fight for the vacant flyweight title in less than a month. When did you start camp, and how has it been so far for you, man?
So, this fight I fought in November. I found out like basically a week after this fight.
Yeah.
I mean, I signed the contract I think a week after, but I knew like the promoter
Wow.
hit me up basically that on the drive home the next day was like, "Hey, you want to go against this guy for the title?" And I was like, I didn't know who the guy was, and I didn't give a fuck who he was. I was like, I want to fight
Sign me
anybody
up.
for the title. Yeah, sign me up. So, I knew it was gonna happen. Basically since November. So, I jumped in, started training again like I always do. But right now I'm in Las Vegas right now training at Xtreme Couture, which is one of the top MMA gyms in the world. Full of killers from the highest level of UFC champion, Bellator champion, to guys that just
No
won on the
doubt.
Contender Series, to guys making their UFC debut, to veterans in the UFC. So I'm training with these guys day in and day out, preparing for this fight. So
Iron sharpens iron, right? Speaking of
yes,
sharpening
sir.
that blade up, right?
Yes, sir, man. Like there's times like I've only been here for a week now, but I've been, I've gotten able to work with Patchy Mix, Marab, who's training. He's fighting the same day as me. A bunch of guys at 135, 25, too many to name. At that elite level that I'm in there grinding with every day. And I'm just, I'm ready to, prove where I belong. February 17th. I feel like I belong in the UFC. I feel like I have the skill set, the mindset. I just need the wins, the titles. Um, and everything like that. So I'm ready to prove where I belong in February. But right now, I'm having the time of my life training down here. I love this. I love this shit every day. Going to the gym and just, having the hard rounds, and just elevating myself to another level.
Well, look, man, I think you could try to prove anything you want to anybody, right? But I think the most important person to prove it to is yourself, right? If you're in there with Patchy Mix and Marab, Divishali, and all these guys, and you're getting rounds in, and you know you're good enough for the UFC, I think that's more important than what anyone else thinks about you, right?
Yeah, absolutely, right? You got to know because at the end of the day, you can't lie to yourself. You go home after those training sessions, you jump in the shower sometimes, and yeah, maybe you had a bad day, or maybe you have a good day.
It's
So
only
you
you
kind of
making
have
that
to.
walk too, right?
Exactly,
So
right?
you're
So you
gonna know.
gotta in your mind just kind of balance, like, some of these guys are, yeah, they're, Bellator or UFC world champions for a reason, and they have that experience. So yeah, you might do good with them in the gym, but it's like they've made that walk how many more times than you, and they have the experience, and I
Yeah.
think that's what separates a lot of these fighters. So, I'm very cerebral in that where I understand all these things. Just because you do good with someone in the gym doesn't mean you deserve to be there as well. They worked hard for that, and I'm willing to work hard for what I want to achieve. So, but I mean, it's a good measuring stick, so to say, training with these world champions to see where you're at skill wise, see where you need to work too, right? Because we all have holes in our games and we all have areas where we excel. So for me, it's just in these camps, it's not really about Sean Stebbins or February 17th. I'm going to be prepared for that no matter what. For me, this is
Yeah.
about preparing for the long term goal of trying to be one of the best fighters in the world. And I think to do that, you need to travel all over the world. You need to train with the best fighters, and you just need to get better every day, and that's what I've continued to do every single year.
Absolutely. Look, you seem like a guy who's mature beyond his years, man. And speaking of the
Yeah,
mentality of things, I want to touch on this a little bit when it comes to this fight with Stebbins, right? You said there's a bit of a difference in mentality when it comes to fighting between you and him, right? What do you think
yeah.
that difference is, and how big of a factor will that difference play in this fight, do you think?
I think he's mentally tough for sure. I don't think it's a mental toughness thing. It's one of those things that when you fight, you just understand. I've seen the look in his eye in that cage when things are going wrong. He's willing to take a way out. He's willing to accept that this man is better than me. For me, I'll never accept that. If you're better than me, then you have to kill me. Simple as that. If you're better in that cage, it's like I felt in the cage before in areas where I'm like, hey, this guy's a better striker, and I'm telling myself in my head that, but I'm like, he's still got to kill me. He's still got to put me away because
I
I'm gonna
love it,
find a way
man.
to win. And I
Yeah,
feel like I've seen the look in his eyes that, okay, this guy's better here. I'm just gonna fold. So I think, I'm gonna find that early on him. I'm gonna make him quit. I think once he realizes I'm on another level than him, he's just gonna accept it, and then he's gonna say, okay, this guy was better than me. On to the next, or he'll retire. We'll see. But I just think mentally we're very, very different. And those are the little things people don't see until we get locked in that cage together.
yeah. I saw you talk about your advantages over him in this fight, but nobody's perfect, right? Are there any disadvantages against him that you've been able to prepare for and potentially neutralize?
Yeah, you know, he's short back home. I don't have a lot of. He's 5'5". I think I'm about 5'8". I'm a pretty big flyweight. You know, I've trained with
Yeah.
some of these guys, and they're like, you know, you're big at this weight class. You know, just my stature as
I mean, you
well.
fought at
Um,
bantamweight before, right?
exactly. I had 9 fights at bantamweight. You know, and so I was, you know, like preparing to fight those bigger guys, training with them, and I still love training with bantamweights, featherweights in the gym. So I think him being smaller, probably a little bit like, you know, faster, lower to the ground to shoot. You know, that's why I'm
Yeah.
here at Xtreme. They got a lot of short dudes here that are good to train with, that are, you know, elite level wrestlers, all Americans. So I'm just kind of preparing for that awkwardness of him being lower to the ground. But that also means my knee is closer to his face. So I'm just going to lift that baby up and put it on his chin. So, I mean, every disadvantage, there's an advantage as well. So I'm just preparing for everything, man. You know, I truly don't believe this guy's on my level, but you still have to go in there and you have to prove it, man. You hear it, every fighter says it, but I truly believe with this one, I'm gonna really showcase the level of my skill and that I'm UFC caliber. But I still got to go put a stamp on that performance.
Seems like you are ready, man. Speaking of preparation for this fight, I was talking to Sam Alvey on this very same channel about a week ago, and he was talking about how difficult it could be trying to prepare for somebody where there's not much tape on, right? I mean, you don't have that many fights yourself, but the guy himself, he's also only got like 5 fights of, a ton of amateur experience, but only like 5 fights. Have you been
Yeah.
able to see enough of him to know what to expect, or do you not entertain those things?
You know, I always go in like descending order from their most recent fight. So I watched right off the bat. I watched his most recent fight. I watched the one before that, and then basically I see enough. You know, I just kind of want to see how he moves, how he stands,
Okay.
basically little things like that. I let my coaches do some of the work too and look more into the details because I don't want to plan any of these seeds in my head of, oh, he's so good at that and this. You know, I know at the gym I'm at right now, I'm going to see guys that are better than him everywhere and by a
Yeah.
lot, you know, and guys that put it together better. So I'm preparing for that. You know, my goal is to be able to beat those guys in the gym, hang with them and give them problems. And I know if I'm doing that, that this guy's not going to do anything I haven't seen before. Not that he can't give me a tough fight. It's a 5 rounder. You know, we can go 5 hard rounds if he wants to, and I'll be prepared for that. But yeah, I don't put too much into it because I mean he could show up and you know he could do something completely new. I know he's mainly a wrestler. I heard in one of his interviews he said that he thinks he's better than me everywhere. So we could find out if he wants to keep it on the feet. Let's do it. If he wants to wrestle, let's wrestle. If he wants to go to the ground and do jiu-jitsu, I'll do it.
I mean, it sounds like you're ready either way, right? Again, being that you are heading into your first title fight, I mean, I'm curious because I am seeing the videos you're putting up on, the whole journey to gold and everything. Does the mental preparation change because it's a fight for your first MMA title? Or, are you approaching it the same way as you would any other previous matchup? Where are you mentally heading into this one, man?
I'm just, you know, I'm at peace. You know, I've always wanted to. My coach could tell you this. Like back, I've always wanted to fight 5 rounds. Even like you know, like obviously you turn pro, your pro debut, you're not going to fight for a title. It wasn't about the title. I just wanted 5 rounds. I had some decision losses that I know if they went 5 rounds, I would have won those fights. I feel like I pick up round by round. So for me, it's almost a peace of mind. 5 rounds is more time to suffer. It's more time to bleed. It's more time to show who's the better fighter. So I think all fights should be 5 rounds. You know, because then not even 5 rounds. There should be no time limit. They should just lock us in there, and then when one of us comes out alive, that person's the winner. That's the way I approach fighting, and I approach it mentally. So 5 rounds is better. You know, I wish it was 7 rounds so that we could just fight until there's a conclusion. But I don't think we need 5 rounds for this one. I think I could take them out in 1 or 2 rounds.
Yeah, what do you think of those original rules where it was just fight to the I mean not to the death, right? But fight till you get
Yeah,
a winner. I mean, it is on television, but fight till you get a
I
winner,
I
right? What do you think? Because I
I,
think that's
I,
the way to go.
Yeah, I like it from a pure standpoint, but for television, I
Yeah.
mean, people don't want to see guys lying on top of each other because there
In a
would be some
sporting
guys like Sean
format, it doesn't
Stanley.
work.
Yeah, there'd be guys like my opponent now who would take guys down and just lay on top of them, and then the place would boo the shit out of them for hours, right? But I mean, if you get two real fighters in there that are going to go at it, then yeah, it's probably the best rule set that you could have. But I mean, we're in 2024 now, so I understand it and I get it, but yeah,
You said that if there was no time limit, the guy you're going to be fighting would just lay on someone for an hour, right? Have you
yeah.
prepared for him not to do that to you?
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. You know, like takedown
I mean, we
defense,
did bring up the
range,
strengths and all
like,
that,
yeah,
but are you ready for
yeah,
that?
range management, stuff like that. And for me, but there's no fear in that. If he takes me down, I'm just getting back up. You know, I'm gonna pop right back up, and I'm gonna start putting my fists on his face, my knees, my shin. So, I'm not really afraid of that style. You know, like knockout style or guys like if he had a strong submission game. You know, there's a lot of threat in that. But I'm training with
Yeah.
you know elite black belts in the gym right now at this gym that are putting it on me, trying to take me down, trying to do what he's gonna do, but 10 times the level. So I'm prepared for that. If he's coming with a, you know, if he's going to try to take me down and submit me, I'm prepared for that. If he's going to try to take me down and just hold me, I'm prepared for that. But I think, you know, a 5 round style, I don't think he'll have the conditioning to do that. I've seen in his past fights, he'll do it for 1 round. And if the guy hustles, he gets tired. So I know if he puts me down for a round, I'm just going to keep working, keep standing up, keep building up, hitting him. And then he's going to exhaust himself in the long run and I'm going to put him away. So I think the best case scenario for him is I put his lights out early and then he wakes up in the back of an ambulance and, you know, he's thankful that he didn't have to get his ass whooped for 25 straight minutes. That's what I believe.